Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
Well, welcome to another show of Wine and Wisdom, where the wine lets us unleash us and we tell the truth. Yeah. But it's also where we just take news and we spin it. We spin news and we have a look at the spins in the news, right? Because they sell us too, and we in sales, we need to know when we're being sold. All right, so what's big this week? And the biggest this week again is 3 people out of this group forgot to send their wine yesterday at the right time. So this one,
because you live in with the judge, mate. You live in with the adjudicator. That's not fair.
No, it's not true. If you really want to check, but if you want to check and see that I send a photo of the bottle, say I want to check, and if I have sent it before midday, then you will have to shout us another bottle, Chris. Which, by the way, we still haven't received.
What I would rather check is the origin of the wine, because I've seen your wine fridges, and there's a very good chance that he takes 4 steps to the right, opens the door, and says, "Charlotte, take a photo of this one because I don't know how to work the camera."
Well, mate, listen, you've seen this place, right? The garage is way closer to me, all right? So, all right, so let's have a look. So the 3 of you are in competition. Let's have a look. Cam, what's your wine?
Am I disqualified or not?
Well, you're going to be disqualified soon. So what's your wine for this week?
Well, I thought I was disqualified. So I've actually got, I always get the camera wrong.
Singlefile
Chardonnay. And this is me without.
2012.
2012, right. So here's me going, Denmark. I haven't had a wine from Denmark before. Well, when I read the label, it's Denmark, Western Australia. So this is the Vivian Chardonnay from Denmark, Western Australia, 2012. And because I thought I was disqualified, no, it didn't cost under $50. I thought I was already gone, so I'm going to enjoy my wine. It's normally a $100 bottle, but I got it for $64. And according to the guy at Old Phil Cellars, it's actually one of the rare times you'll be able to find it at a shop, because it's a cellar door release only normally. And it, my friends, 4.6 on Vivino.
Yeah, but hold on. People voted. One?
Hey?
How many people voted? I'm going to until we see it, because we need to see it. All right.
Anyway, I'm full disclosure, because we don't want a repeat of last time. I thought I was out of the competition, so I blew the budget. I'm not cheating. I wasn't competing. So if you're not competing, you may as well. So enjoy your cheap shit wines, people. I'm living the high life today.
It looks good, Cam. Enjoy, mate. It looks good.
I've earned it.
Oh, what's your space?
I've got an old favourite, actually. I've got a Tim Adams Aberfeldy Shiraz, 2016. Now, it's what you pay for the wine, not what the advertised price is. Is that true? Correct. It was advertised at over 50, but I said to the guy, I said, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm in a podcast. I can't spend any more than 50." He goes, "I'll give it to you for 45. I said, "Deal, done. I'll take it." So I
don't know about those rules now, but we will need
you've
to.
You've used the same fucking loophole before, Luang.
No.
Absolutely. What are these rules, mate? Who made them?
I bought the 6 bottles. I got the 5% of vintage.
Shut it.
Sounds like Trump here. Seriously.
I'm on Chris's side here. You can't pull that shit.
So I did forget to buy my wine yesterday on my way home. So this morning at about 5:45, I was on Click and Collect Liquorland trying to compare against Vivino to see what I could order. But I have got a St Hugo GSM from the Barossa.
Oh.
We've done that before, haven't we?
Is that the Shiraz or the Capstan?
But you can't say
GSM.
GSM.
The amount of wine that we're drinking, we're probably going to go
pay for that, Meg?
other brands.
I
As
just
long,
asked a question. We just read a whole chapter on asking questions.
And listening.
as long as it's not the same year.
No, it's a
Let's break it
GSM. We haven't had the GSM before.
All right.
No.
Well done, Megs. I was prospecting at 5:45 this morning, so I'm committed. So don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
All right. What are we?
you doing?
Man, I have the Coonawarra, the Musician 2018.
What is it?
It's a Cab Shiraz. It's a blend. Quite nice.
It's not a 2012 though, is it?
No, your 2012. Oh, gee, man, that's the kind of bottle normally you keep so that we could have it together when we hit Freedom Day. Thanks very much.
There's one left on the shelf. If it's still there tomorrow, I'll grab it for us. All right.
I can't believe you, man. All right, big news this week. Big news. No more Gladys. What's going on?
Wow.
Nothing's us, that's for sure. Look at that. Oh,
Oh, that's a nice color. I love it. Wow. But 2012. Come on, taste it. Tell me, is it gone? Is it past its best years?
For Chardonnay, that's right on the cusp, right? That's
oh
like,
no, it's not gone. Oh,
Oh,
dear.
I was.
they go and buy whatever they got
Oh,
left.
that's like velvet. That's better than butter.
Go and
That's,
buy whatever they got left, mate. Seriously.
oh, Christoph,
Stop it.
I'm going to send her down the shop.
All right, you can speak.
Click and collect, I tell ya.
So a big week, we had, no, it wasn't only Gladys. We got some of the best last names in politics ever of disappeared. Berejiklian, Barilaro, that was a good last name for politics, wasn't it? It didn't sound like a mafia gangster or anything at all.
Well, it's a bit sad. I like to talk about a little bit about Gladys thing. You know, okay, I get it. She broken some rules, and I think that she was already on really tenterhooks probably quite a few months ago when they found out about all of these things that she's done with Wagga Wagga money, but really there's some kind of vendetta, and I can see that thing about tall poppy syndrome happening again. You know, where we go after the people who've done well, who really work hard, and we give them heaps. And the day that they resign on Friday afternoon, I think everyone's crying. It's like, and now it's unfair. How could she go at the time that is so important? And everyone's now saying good things about her. It's crazy, isn't it? Isn't that human nature?
Well, politics is the one. It starts with politics, and the game of politics, you got to chop down whoever's on the top, regardless of whether they're in your party or not. That's just.
But I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about people like us.
Oh, I still think the majority. Look, anecdotally, I sat with someone yesterday whose father died because he died a couple of months ago because Gladys, they cut elective surgery and he had a 70% blockage in his aorta, and they considered fixing that as elective surgery, and he died 2 days later. So there's a large portion of the population who are happy she's gone. For everyone who put a flower outside her, her front door. So I don't know. I mean, there's always you can't argue, TL. There is tall poppy syndrome, no doubt, but I don't think it's a case of everyone thinks she shouldn't be gone. I think it has been funny to watch some people who are fuck this and the government this and the government that, and then a change.org petition comes across my Facebook saying, save Gladys, it's not the time to go, from the very same people. I have a bit of a chuckle. But I want
to ask you this. She was asked to step down because something her partner did, right? And they say that she would have known about it.
No. So, yes, her boyfriend was found to be corrupt, but she's being investigated for giving him and his electorate $10 million worth of grants that were previously denied. So,
right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, tall poppy syndrome in society, but we all try to be pretty stringent on our values here. If you're innocent, do you resign there?
I think in her speech she said it very clearly. Is the fact that she said if any one of her parliamentary members were to be investigated, that automatically would ask them to step down. That was basically prerequisite of being in the party. She said, "I have to lead that decision, and that's the rule for everyone." So you know,
But federally, Liberal Party Christian Porter, when he got accused of rape, didn't step down. He just went to the back bench. He's now resigned because the hole kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But I just think if you've done nothing wrong, like really done nothing wrong, you're not giving up your post that easily. I mean, the Liberal Party in New South Wales is a funny one. Barry O'Farrell quit because of a bottle of wine, or got forced to stand down because of a bottle of wine. So that they, like, if that's all it was, but that was the story we were told, which seemed a bit of bullshit at the time.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, though. It's what we hear. So you know what you've heard so far about Gladys, but I'm sure there'll be a lot more that comes out one way or the other.
You know what's interesting, Chriso? We spoke last week about the ramifications for lying and how the people who lied get to the top, and maybe we should try that on. And then, you know, a week later, the leadership of the Liberal Party's quit. But here's the rub, right? Gladys has the choice now of $200,000 a year for the rest of her life, or a $2 million payout now. She's 51, and once she turns 55, that $200,000 a year turns into $407,000 a year for the rest of her life. So guilty or innocent, why put up with the pain? I'll just take the payout. Thanks for coming. I did see a very funny meme on Twitter that was from a Gladys Berejiklian parody account that had a picture of the Penrith Panthers winning the comp, and it said, I remember when I used to be premier. Because the premiers, when you win the comp, your premiers, your gooses. That was funnier than it looks. You're just not supporting people. I'll be quiet.
I think the thing is, though, she will now always be remembered for the one that quit when the times were tough.
No, I think that if you've done the wrong thing, you're going to have to fall. The only thing is, how do you remember? Even we played a video about her, so everyone's got that side, and then after the person's gone, we go, maybe we shouldn't. You know, it's a funny thing. Anyway, she's now been replaced by a new premier, Stephen Thompson. Kimberly Burke called me and she said that Stephen Thompson is now the new Premier of New South Wales.
Listen, I don't know. It's not often we get personal on this podcast, but I showed my wife a photo and I said, "How old do you reckon that bloke is?" She said, 49, 50. He's 39, that bloke.
Is he?
He's 39.
He's got 6 kids.
I don't know how. Look, the amount of time
he doesn't look 39.
the amount of time he spends on the workbench, I don't know how he's going to run the state. But
not anymore with 6 kids.
Mate.
It's funny, when he came on the news the other night, I actually said to Pete, God, that guy reminds me of Stephen Thompson. Not actually how he looks, but just his stance and his body language and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, today we were watching it came on, and Kim goes, "Oh my God, he looks like Stephen Thompson." And we both just started cracking up laughing. I'm like, that is so funny, because I only said that the other day.
We obviously haven't seen Stephen Thompson lately, because our mate is looking a lot more like Wolverine than he is like the Premier of New South Wales. So.
No, I'm not allowed to see him at the moment. Too far. Not in my postcode.
Oh, well, listen, I hope he's going to do a good job. I think.
So what happens though? So the leader resigns, the deputy leader resigns, the transport minister resigns. What are we in for? What do we reckon is going to come out in the not too distant future? Because it's all too neat. Barilaro said he quit because he was getting picked on too much on social media and different bits and pieces. A bit of a coincidence, 2 days after the Premier quits. Transport Minister went very, very quietly. So that's the, 3 big names that are running the state are gone. Does it have anything to do? Could it have anything to do? I'll put my tinfoil hat on with what's about to happen. With they've said we've all got Freedom Day coming up shortly, but that's sure to change, and they didn't want to have to put up with the consequences of that.
I don't know about that, mate, because this morning's, I don't know if you've seen this morning's announcement from our new Premier, Dominic.
No, some of us have to work for a living, mate.
How do you say his last name?
Perrier?
Perrottet. He's doubled the amount that we're going to have at a home. He's doubled the amount that at a funeral. He's opened swimming pools and indoor swimming lessons. A lot of the stuff that he's implemented is to push the economy to start functioning again.
But that's also going to push the cases to go 100 times what they are now.
Okay, so on that case as well is that he didn't have with him Kerry Chant, the health minister, wasn't there at the press conference that he held at Olympic Park where they have the COVID centre. So there's obviously, I think, a little bit of pushing and shoving within the party, and he's wanting to show this and maybe get the popular vote with the audience. I'm going to open up. We've got to get back to normality, and he's pushing that while everyone behind the scenes are going, mate, slow down a little bit. So I think within the party, there's a little bit of turmoil.
I think if he was going to come out and make any changes to that plan, though, they had to be in the positive. If he came out and made a change that was retracting any of what had already been announced, it would be a really silly move for someone just taking on that role. And he did I very rarely watch them because they normally just go around and around in circles with the same stuff, but he did get slammed by one of the particular journalists that was there, continually asking him why Chant wasn't there, and did she approve of it, and was it endorsed by her, and all of this, and he danced around it a fair bit actually. So it was just interesting to watch even the body language and the interaction of the people behind him, because most of those people, other than Hazard, hadn't really seen them much before. It was like a full fresh approach to the whole thing.
Yeah, I think I think they all jumped off because they know that they were about to open up. They know that we're probably going to have to lock down again before Christmas because of the huge surge in case numbers, and they thought, well, I'll take me $400,000 a year pension and be done with it. Do you see Palaszczuk's now saying we'll open up, but I want you to pay for all the new hospital cases that we get? She's good. She's red hot, Palaszczuk.
Like us, as in New South Wales.
Wants the federal government to pay for all the infrastructure to keep all the. That's her demand. I'm not opening up until you give us more money.
Anyway, unbelievable.
If there's anyone, look, I'll get in trouble. It's okay. If there's anyone I want to punch in the throat, it's her.
Mate, to be able to let bloody sporting teams, their families, the support staff and so forth to come and hold grand finals, but when let their own residents back into the state, into their own homes, mate, that's criminal.
How did South go in the grand final, Thomas, by the way?
South went actually very, very well because we bet that we were going to lose. We put all of that money on the knock. So we made a huge amount. It's a very good, it was an amazing game. I thought whoever gambled that night, they probably were on the tender hooks until the last minute.
Mm.
And
I didn't know who I was going for until the last fight. Like, it was just...
It was just crazy. It was a fantastic game. Listen, the best team won. The same thing I said in semi-final, best team won. What to me was really resonated with me was the speech of the captain, even though they lost. The way that he spoke, to me, was one of those games where I remember more the speech of the losing side than the speech of the winning side. And that is crazy.
And he played his last game for South. He should have been a one-club player, but inexplicably they've let him go to the Broncos. He missed a goal that he'd normally kick 98% of the time from the sideline. He missed the field goal at the end, and you could see at the end he was taking the whole lot on his shoulders. And it's a horrible, horrible, horrible feeling. I haven't done it in the NRL before, but I have lost a grand final before through my own fuck-ups for a team, and it's the worst feeling in the world. And to see what he was going through, and he I used to hate South. South were my team. Now it's Parramatta, the team I hate the most. And then we sponsored them. And because we sponsored them, we got to go to a few events and mingle with the players. And he was one guy, mate, at their season launch that sat there with me and Dillo for almost an hour just answering all our drunk questions, not judging us, not being too good for anybody. And he's a leader, that guy. He doesn't talk a lot. He's not loud.
No.
But he's a leader.
I really got to like him, and I thought that was a great speech. Now, you know a lot about what's going on in the NRL. So why would South not give him 3 years, but give Cody Walker 3 years? They're both 31.
No one knows, right? So no one can work out why they've done it. South's excuse was first his age and that he's had some injury troubles, and they're not sure whether he'll make 3 years. And you've got to go back, bit of context. They gave Greg Inglis a massive contract, and he got too injured and had to medically retire, and they had to pay out his whole contract. They gave Sam Burgess a massive contract, and he had to medically retire, and they had to pay him out. So the general thought was they're a bit gun shy. And only did I realise a couple of days ago watching NRL 360, Cody Walker's exactly the same age, and they've basically got rid of Reynolds to be able to pay Cody Walker his money because of the salary cap. So no one really knows the true story. There's suggestions things might have been going on behind the scenes. One of the things with a footy club is if you get rid of a player, you've got to have someone to replace them. And South obviously think they've got someone there who can replace Adam Reynolds, and they probably didn't think they got someone there that can replace Cody Walker. Right, so they have Cody Walker didn't debut until he was 26, which is very, very old for an NRL player to play his first game. So he's only been having the shit beat out of him for 5 years, whereas Adam Reynolds debuted when he was 17 or 18. So he's had the shit beat out of him for 13 or 14 years now, which is a huge toll on the body. But for culture, for leadership, for everything to do outside of, for his skill, like no one can kick. It's hard to explain how important kicking a ball is in rugby league, but no one does it better than Adam Reynolds. So I can't answer your question because it makes no sense on so many levels.
Yeah. Well, I didn't celebrate, obviously, the loss, but you must have celebrated Tom Trbojevic winning his medal.
Yeah, I did, but I still... They're a bit political, the Daily M's and all that sort of stuff, so I don't get too wrapped up in the player awards, but I was still disappointed. I think we should have beat South the week before, but I think the best story to come out of all of it, and we can take it from an adversity point of view for what we do with work, is Penrith had the best attack for a lot of the year and the best defence, and they were absolutely killing everyone. And then all of a sudden in the last month, they fell off a cliff. They couldn't score a try. They couldn't score a point. And everyone was like, well, what's going on? Have they left their run too late? And everyone, that's why people gave South half a chance, because South could score points. And it didn't come out till after the grand final. There was 5 players on the Penrith team that shouldn't have been playing. The fullback, who was one of the best players on the ground, had a broken foot for the last month. There was a guy with a torn MCL in his knee. Nathan Cleary shouldn't have played after the State of Origin because his shoulder was that banged up. As a team, they hadn't actually trained as a team for the last 3 weeks of the competition. And when you can't do that, there's no continuity. You can't play football. Brian Toto, I did my syndesmosis in my ankle in my last ever game of football. I had an operation. I was in a moon boot for 3 months. I've still got 4 broken screws in my ankle from that operation. He played the fucking grand final with it. He played the last 2 games of the comp with it. And everyone's sort of on Adam Reynolds and Benji and all the stories about South. But what Penrith were actually able to do from a team culture standpoint and the adversity they were able to overcome, and they're 20-year-old kids, mate. They're not old. Nathan Cleary is 23 years old. He's already won Origin. He's already won a comp. He's already represented Australia. He's 23. And that's some of that stuff. Those guys all grew up together in Mount Druitt. We know Mount Druitt from our area about, how disadvantaged a lot of that area is. Penrith are a great story, great story. And the culture and the bond and the sacrifice. One of their players could have played, but he was slightly injured, and he knew there was a young guy who could have played just as well as him. So he said, I'm not going to play the grand final, put this kid in. Well, that doesn't get spoken about. So,
which I want to ask you, and this is no boasting, because I just saw one of the message from Amanda, our team member in Killarney Vale. Doesn't it remind you a little bit of that Killarney Vale team? 3 people, one that was in PR in a medical company, 2 kids, one that was that just left school, the other one was a plumber. And yesterday, you have a look at the team. Wasn't that a winning team yesterday, Cam?
It's a winning team, 100%. And the energy. So these guys had won, Penrith and the team, the Penrith team had won together in the under-16s, and they'd won together in the under-18s, and they'd won together in the under-20s, and they'd grown up together winning. And because of that, they've just taken the biggest fucking title of all. And because of that culture, people were willing to play injured for each other. And if you relate it to work, people are willing to come in on their days off to cover other people. In that Killarney Vale team, people are willing to come in when someone from outside their office is sick to cover other offices. They're willing to do the work and get around each other and celebrate together and win together. And because of that, they'll be unbreakable. And because of that, they'll be unstoppable.
Okay, so let's go back to those kind of things. Is it Nathan Cleary or is it his father, the one that we need to celebrate?
No, we need to celebrate what the club. It's everyone behind the scenes there. It's not. That, as I said, those guys have been winning together since they were 16, but they've been winning together as part of Penrith. So not only have they been able to keep them together, they've been able to surround them with success together. They've been able to. They'll be tested now because once you win a grand final, everyone wants more money or everyone gets offered more money. And now we're going to find out where the culture's really at. But to get 5 people to play, we had a joke before about you might like running around on one leg. They had 5 people play the grand final on one leg or one arm or one something for each other, And they'll all go off and have operations now, and some of them won't be able to walk or move their arm for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. So it's the leadership. If you're getting at, is it leadership or is it the players on the field? The leadership start in the front office, not just the first port of call, which is the coach. The coach, he'd only been back for a couple of years, and the coach before that, the coach, the standards that they've set. The coach before Ivan Cleary got sacked when the team was running 4th. The team was coming 4th in the comp, and they sacked the coach because they knew there was more to come, and they didn't think that the guy coming 4th, getting him to 4th, was going to be able to get him to number 1. We'd all be happy here to be top 4, right? In any competition, we'd be happy to be top 4. They sacked the bloke who got them to top 4 because they knew there was more to squeeze from the lemon.
Ferrari let go of Michael Schumacher when he was 2nd.
Yeah, but that's standards, isn't it? That's drive and performance. So look, whoever it is behind the scenes who managed to convince or created a culture where 5 blokes would play when they should have been in hospital, that's something you can only hope to achieve. And you see that. I suppose we've got to be careful, TL, not to come across as bragging or boasting, but you see the green shoots of that in what we're achieving or what we're creating with our guys there.
Yeah, but Meg, there's also big rivalry between your 2 offices in Gorokan versus Chelmsford. How is that going? So is there one that is south and the other one is Penrith? How do you guys manage that? Because and how do they still think as one team?
That's a really good question. I think because they still do so much as one team, yes, there's certain boards that will show them as two teams or as two groups of individuals with teams within those teams. I think it's all the things that you do in between that actually give them that bigger sense of contribution. So yes, you might sit in a certain office, but you know, if you look at the numbers of what's done in terms of listings and sales and things like that, very, very few of them would be done by, you know, everyone selling their own stock or each office selling only the stock within their office. You know, people buddy up between the two offices. So if someone's going out to a listing and they think someone else in the team would be, you know, a great help to get that listing on, or might have a bit more experience in that field, they'll buddy up, they'll team up to go and get that listing on board. So yeah, look, there's definitely the element of competition, but there's like that in any great team. I think even whether it be a sporting team or, you know, a work team, anything, I think you've got to have that healthy blue collar kind of banter, because that's what pushes people outside of their comfort zone. That's what makes people feel that bond, you know, to feel like you're part of something bigger. People don't want to, there's only so long that I think people, or most people, can feel like, you know, they're the top dog or everything's about them. I think majority of human beings, and COVID's probably brought it out more so than anything, is that, you know, they want to feel like they're part of something bigger. They don't want to be isolated or singular. Yes, they want their individuality. They're all different. They're all very different. And they've all got their quirks and their things that tick them off or make them happy, or certain things that'll push them more than the person that's next to them. But overall, I think that all contributes to part of a team culture. You know, if you're playing for the Panthers and you can see the bloke next to you, you know, with the broken ankle, or, you know, the whatever it was that he played with, that's got to be inspiring. Like if you're there going, shit, I'm buggered, like I've got nothing else in the tank to give, and old mate's over there with, you know, a bunged up leg or a bunged up shoulder, and he's still giving it all. What excuse have you got?
Yeah.
So you've got to have those people around you to push you, to make you want to do better.
I'm going to be more specific. All right, give me a second, Ken. Kurt is first on the leaderboard right now as number one. Cam is second. How is the team taking that between that kind of competition now? Because it's no longer Gork and Chamhaven. It's now, hold on, our team versus some idiot from Carrion in Kiralivel. So how do we take that? Is there that kind of focus? Because I know in our team, Cam's the only one who's watching this. He's now thinking, I can do this. I can actually.
Numero uno.
Numero uno. Yes, you know, we spoke about that. Yeah. So how is Kurt taking that? I mean, we just finished South Penrith, but let's have a look in real estate, because real estate agents are driven by that. You can't say to them, well, you know, don't go for that and this, you know, just go against your best. That's what my belief should be. We should go against our best. Real estate agents are not interested. They would rather utilize their second best, but crush the competition. That's how they are, right? So what do you think Kurt is thinking right now with Cam? Really, it's not hot behind him, but it's coming.
Oh, that's a good question. I think if you asked me about someone else in my team, it would probably be a different answer. But Kurt, I think he is very competitive, but I think he's more competitive with himself inner than he is outer. Like, yes, pardon?
Rubbish. Come at me, Bradbury.
Yeah, yes, he does. He loves to be, you know, number one and stuff like that. But I think
he's a Bulldog supporter. He's had nothing to celebrate all year, and I'm going to crush his dreams this year. Come on, Bradbury.
Get him on here then. Give him a ring. Ask him. How's he feeling?
I think it's funny. Part of it is two things. One, I just want to pull Thomas up on something. He says being number one doesn't matter, but he's created a system where there's 4 scoring points and they're ranked 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. So clearly he knows that some people care about being number one. Otherwise, you wouldn't have those scoreboards there.
I said I get that, but it doesn't matter to me.
No, that doesn't matter to you.
It gets that, yeah.
And then everyone, and then heaven forbid you want to be number one, but there's a scoreboard there that says you have to. The other thing I was going to say, while Meg was talking before, I don't think we can shy away from the fact that the results for winning in real estate, the rewards for winning in real estate are pretty substantial. Yeah, as from an income point of view, there's a very, very tasty carrot at the end of that rope. So competition is one thing, but managing to do it in a way, or managing to foster a culture in a way where people won't step over the line and do anything to win at the cost of their values or doing the wrong thing. That's a completely different kettle of fish. So, I mean, Thomas and I, we got it easy. We got 3 people and they're all awesome humans, but there's 3 of them. You got 48 megs. How do you guys manage? Because there's people that are going to want to step over the line. The carrot is so big.
Yeah.
You talked about no one getting to sell their own stock, right? That's got to create some angst on the people. You know, you go out to a listing and someone's coming straight in behind you to sell it on you. How do you manage the?
So they do get the opportunity to sell their own, and obviously they do at times. But what I'm saying,
got 30 seconds. They got 30 seconds from the time the ink's dried on the agency agreement.
But at the end of the day, it's what's best for the owner. So if I've got someone to go through my own listing, and you've got someone that's coming through, and your person's going to have more money or better circumstances for my owner, then at the end of the day, that's what we've got to do.
I understand that, but how do you keep the team buying into that? Because let's be honest, the difference between 60% and 100% is substantial. So
yeah,
I'm asking, like, you do a great job of it, obviously, otherwise there wouldn't be a business there. So I'm after clues on how you do that, because 50 people all fighting for the same carrot, it's got to get interesting, yeah?
I suppose there's a long history of rules. So the rules have evolved over time with the business. So what it was originally with the original setup with one office has to be different once there's 2 offices or 3 offices or multiple offices. It has to be different in different marketplaces. So having those clear rules that, you know, get looked at regularly. If a situation comes up that's never come up before, we have a sales leadership team that will sit together and take feedback on board from the team as well. But look at those rules and say, is it still relevant? Does it still apply? Does it need to be changed? Or does this situation just get dealt with within the rules that are already there? So that's one part of it. I think being quite strict on those rules, like you've got people like Kim, Kurt, Matt and Sean, the whole 4 of them that are in that leadership group, they've all been around for a really long time. They understand what the expectations are. They know what the rules are. They've been there. They've started at the bottom. So they've been that new kid that maybe someone that was there for longer than them tried to put it over them or say, oh, hey, you know, that really should be mine, and had maybe tried to take something from someone new that shouldn't have been. So they all understand what it's like for the new people to come through. And that's really important. It is. But the other part to it is, I guess, bringing on new people regularly, because we all know as you bring new people on, different dynamics, different, you've got your millennials, you've got those new age groups coming through that do push the boundaries. They do ask more questions. They are going to ask us why. They're not going to walk in and be a yes person and just say, oh, okay, if that's how it is, that's how it is. They're going to ask questions as to why. And that's a big part of it too, because you get to actually see things through fresh eyes when you get new recruits through all the time.
Yeah. But, you know, Meg, I think that you just really gave a very good summary of why Penrith is one. I think that there's a lot of rules in the Penrith team. The Panthers, I think, are very disciplined. They have a lot of fun. I think that you said it last week, you know, Cam, how refreshing it is to see a bunch of guys like having fun and running around and doing that stuff. I think there's regulation, there's rules, and Meg, you just summarize it very well.
Can I just ask one question? Is your procedure manual easier to read than the 12 rules for life than Jordan?
I would go for another 12 chapters.
Because I believe it's about this thing. It's 4,986 rules to working for Megan Green.
Oh, well,
no religion in there. That's for sure.
That's nice. So I thought that, this week with South versus Panthers, there was so many lessons for all of us. All of us, I thoroughly enjoyed it. What's next? What's next on the menu today?
Oh, what about the Facebook thing?
Big
Whoa.
news.
I would love calling out.
Big news.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
to me, it's nothing. I don't think it's big news in the sense that it's probably a big surprise to anyone that's what that kind of platform does. But I think the depth that she has brought to the surface is probably pretty alarming for a lot of people, and all of us on the screen have got kids. So when they're talking about, targeting young girls and diet pills and anorexia and all this kind of stuff, you think, far out. Like these girls, they're already in a stage of their life where there's hormones and there's lots of stuff happening, and then to be copying, targeted marketing that is not good for them, that's scary.
We spoke about this a while ago. What was the movie? What was that movie that we watched on
Social Dilemma.
Okay. And we spoke about this back then, about the algorithm that they use to attract, and it's just not marketing. It's other people's videos and feeds and so forth. That algorithm can be adjusted to whatever you're looking at. So personally, I think Facebook, Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg, for want of another target, needs to answer to actually how this algorithm is working. Because if what they're saying is true, I mean, that there's a fault in the system, major fault in the system.
The algorithm is changing so regularly, it's not funny, because they're a media platform. It's like what we were talking about before. The news has always got their agenda, and they're always going to push what's going to, get the story or get the viewers or get all that kind of stuff. There's no difference for social media and what they're trying to achieve.
Listen.
No one here thinks it's good for you, yeah? No one. Here's the thing, like, they've blown a whistle, they've said it's bad, we've seen the social dilemma which says it's bad. Is there anyone really sitting there going, all this social media is good for people anyway? Like, so to Meg's point where she said she wasn't that surprised, is anyone really shocked?
No.
Is anyone shocked by the lengths? We just spoke about it. The carrot is that juicy at the end of that tunnel that they'll compromise any values. We just spoke about it in business. How do we, when the carrots are juicy, how do we stop people trying to take a bite at the expense of others? They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit.
And I guess probably the big part of it is that people that are working for them, confidentiality clauses and all that kind of stuff would be huge. So for someone like her to come out and say what she said, and for it to become such a public thing, I think is just a sign of her standing maybe for values, or maybe seeing her own carrot that she wants to get a piece of. Because imagine all the people trying to go to her to get her story. Like, she'd be making some coin.
Why aren't these people rocking the boat when they're employed? Why isn't they wait till after they finish? Because she's not the first person to come out and and spread the word of what happened behind the scenes. Why don't they do it earlier?
Security.
So
most people aren't going to bring it up and want to
have
sit
an
in
agenda,
that
right? So they have an agenda to protect when they're employed. So maybe they've got another agenda, which is
They look back on what they were doing and can't reconcile themselves.
possibly.
Maybe.
Listen, let me interrupt you. I've got Alison here. She just started with me at head office, Alison Tan, and she wrote some nice things about, I think it's the friendly competition that keeps a team growing, and also it builds a bond. But I look at that and I go, Alison, you're listening. If you ever catch me lying in the business, let me know. I'll fire myself. But that's the level of business that I put in my business. Okay, I'm very small compared to Facebook, but I think that what it is that sometimes some of these leaders that run big organization they want to go for number one, and the number one is not enough because they're so scared of becoming number two that they want to build more of that gap between number one and number two because they want to become number one but much higher level. And they start doing the wrong thing. They start bullying their way around. They demand this, they want that. They start then to break rules and break values. And I think this is where we're getting at now, is that we're getting it to the level where Mark Zuckerberg is no longer like screwing two mates in order to steal the idea when he was back at university. He's now trying to screw the world. Yeah. Gee, we're going to have to be careful because we're on live on Facebook, which means that we're going to have, seriously, what did I just do? What is it that does to you? Do not put it on anything else. It's just one. So,
It's good while it lasted, guys.
Let's have a look at this. How many of smaller businesses? Because I think we got not much of an idea. I wanted to talk about whistleblowers. How many companies that are much more in Australia in real estate that see their leaders do the wrong thing but are not saying it?
While they're getting a wage. While they're getting a wage.
Yeah. And here I'm telling you, one of my people here who's just joined me, and she's just amazing. I can see it because I had a meeting with the team this morning, and you can see in their eyes, when you have a good one. And she's thinking about certain stuff, and I'm giving her full freedom. You ever catch me lying, doing the wrong thing, just tell the damn world, because I find myself. But how many businesses are willing to do this?
Yeah, very few. Well, I don't know. You don't know. But we know enough to know that it's probably not the majority.
But he's Zuckerberg, who's already making billions. I mean, mind you, he lost apparently $19 billion because of a power outage that just happened about 2 days ago. And he's got system to find out like which fake news is actually generating him more income than anything else, and it's a lie, but he lets it keep on going. I mean, you have to make. I don't know what it is. So those kind of things are big scale. What about small scale? We running small real estate businesses. How often do we see the wrong thing being done, either by our people? Because quite often I see also leaders in real estate doing the wrong thing by their team. And I think that if they do the wrong thing by their team, and I tell leaders all the time, I will always stand by the team. And leaders who are trying just to keep team members small because they want to manage them. They want them to just be that gentle horse pulling the carriage for them. Is that the wrong thing too? Because we're talking about a big thing here. And the other bit I also want to ask you guys, especially Meg, how does it feel to be a female whistleblower? I'm going to be careful because my son also taught me about a new word, which is that woke. Don't ask questions that can be a woke kind of thing, right? So he is a lady for the first time, I think in a long time, who's coming out as a whistleblower against a giant.
Well, I think the first part of it is that in our businesses, especially the size that most of them are, if your staff catch your line, you're gone. They might not quit, they might not run away, they might not blow the whistle, but they'll take the wage from you for the whole time. They won't respect the thing you do, and you'll have no authority in a real sense. And nor should you. Right? Yeah. If you're going to bullshit to the people that you're asking to, what do you call it, Thomas? The golden goose, the golden egg, the goose, the duck, the chicken. Anyway, if you're going to treat the thing that's trying to set you up for life like that, then you deserve everything you get. And the people who think, the leaders that think they can get away with it aren't, and more fool them, because the staff will hold them over a barrel. Might not be now, but the time will come. And then what will happen is eventually they will leave and they'll blow the whistle at the same time. But you can't.
Hold on. How about the whistleblowers though, Meg? So how would you feel? I can't feel as a lady, but how do you feel
like
as a woman? you leave the organization and then suddenly you blow the whistle on the entire organization and you've got a family. You've got children around you. You know, how does it feel?
Oh, I don't know. I think
Sorry, Meg. This week is a lot of questions on you.
I don't know. There's been a few topics where you guys have asked me about, you know, as a female, what about the Me Too movement, and what about this, and what about women's rights? And I don't know. I don't really see any difference for if it was a male employee that left the business and did the same thing. Realistically, she's left. I've only read a little bit into it, so I don't know a huge amount about it, but I do know that she's obviously she's aired a lot about what she's seen and what she's heard, and you know, it is alarming, but she's standing up for what she believes is right.
The reason I love you, Megs, is because there is no male, female, and you're just as equal as anybody else on the planet, and you'll own that, and you'll kick the ass of anyone who doesn't, right? Can you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's maybe not at that same standpoint where there is a gender divide and they've just come out against a huge company? And
yeah, I can see how it would be extremely daunting from a female's perspective, because of, you know, keyboard warriors. I guess she would have a lot of an army behind her, but she would also have a big army against her, and that would be quite difficult to cope with. I don't know her personal circumstance. Is she a mum? Like, has she got kids, or?
I don't know, but the rule of happy wife should dictate that she would.
Yeah, look, it would be a big, it would be a massive thing for her to be dealing with. It would be a massive thing for any human being to be dealing with. But like I said before, I'm sure there would also be a very big price ticket that's coming with those comments that she's sharing. And I'm not saying she's doing it for that reason, but there would be a lot of benefit that's coming from her doing that. And so I guess it's for her. Who knows? She may not have had any idea the enormity of what it would have gone to, just by a simple comment. I don't know how it started, or where she even, what platform she used to even begin this whole thing. But yeah, I think it's gonna continue to be a big deal.
I'm just asking this question because for a lot of women, security has always been at paramount for a lot of women, and he is a woman who's pushing aside her own security and bringing out something that's so big. And her biggest thing is because she sees what's being done to the kids, right? And so that is not just bravery, that's bravery plus. Oh, by the way, I just want to say, I just saw Mom in Belgium waking up to watch us. So we are now in Belgium. Thank you, Mom. Love you, Mom. You're doing great, Jack. Keep watching. Wake up earlier. We start at 4.
Love you, Mom. You're late. You're late. What sort of example are you setting for your son, Mum? I think you can't underestimate the risk either, male or female. Like, we're talking Facebook, and we may not think of it in the same parlance, but if this was China or this was Saudi Arabia or Russia, she'd be dead.
Yeah.
And she may still be.
Yeah.
They got just as much money as all those countries. She may be in a world of hurt. So do you think all the leftist movement and the woke movement and all the bullshit that's been going on for such a long time, which most of it's bullshit, but part of it, one of the happy consequences of it might be that women feel more comfortable to come out now and speak up, because there's such a big push now for everything to be equal and his, her, him, they, us, it. But, you know, because you probably never would have seen it. Like, we glorify Rosa Parks and the few women throughout history who, in times where it just couldn't be done, did it. Revered and glorified and idolised. Is it going to become more common now? And is it a good? Well, obviously, it's probably a good thing if it's more common now that everyone feels comfortable enough to come out and make these massive statements.
I think with it, there's got to be, it's really difficult with any situation, whether it be, you know, what she's done with Facebook, whether it be like the Harvey Weinstein thing. It's difficult to know the intent behind what they've come out with, because by the time we get fed it, it's gone through the media, it's gone through all these different channels, and we get, you know, their version of it. We don't ever really get probably the nuts and bolts of that person's original intent or that person's original purpose behind actually coming out with it.
Isn't it sad though that we all know, as I asked before, none of us are overly shocked that Facebook's doing the wrong thing. And because this lady's come out and actually pointed out, you got people like Christinola who are skeptical about her motives about doing it, even though we all know it's probably true, right? We all know there's a very good chance that everything she's saying is 100% true. You still got people who go, well, even though it's definitely true and I probably think exactly the same way, I'm going to sit here and question her agenda and question her reasons behind coming out. Isn't that a sad thing where we're all thinking the same thing, but you got people like Danola of the world who just go, even though I'm thinking the same thing, I'm still going to tear this woman down. Arsehole.
Chris?
Oh, no, I was just letting him have a rant. I mean, he likes the sound of his own voice most times, so I thought I'd let him
You
go.
sat there with your thumb up your ass for the last half an hour, and all you've done is attack this poor woman.
Mate, I said
saying
one
what we all know to
most
be
of the questions
true.
were directed to the lady on the screen. So if we act like gentlemen, that'd be great to start with. But, mate, at the end of the day, I'm just raising a question. I'm not questioning her motives. I'm just raising...
You're fucking questioning her motives.
Let
That's
me
exactly what
fucking
you
finish,
did.
mate.
You said what were her motives?
Shut up for a
Your
minute.
exact words
Shut
were,
up for
what were her
1 minute.
motives? I'm not
Shut
questioning
up
your
for
motives, but what are your
1 minute.
motives?
1 minute. I ask you to shut up for what? 30 seconds, actually. That's all. As I was saying,
Go ahead.
Where's the Jeff today?
as I was saying was, yes, I want to know what her agenda was. Was it?
That's a
and that's
question.
what you're still talking. I wanted to know what her agenda was. Was it the fact that she wanted to actually release the information about Facebook, or was it that she was wrongly done at Facebook and she wants to get get back at Facebook? Because you know what? If you're really upset about what Facebook was doing, why not quit earlier and do it earlier? Why not wait till now? Why wait till now? Why not do it 12 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago?
She was collecting more. She was collecting more evidence, Chris.
I'm glad
Yeah,
you're
but
not.
that's a load of shit.
I'm glad you're
But
not
you know what?
questioning your motives, mate.
Sorry?
I'm glad you're definitely not questioning her motives. The thing is, she's going, as I just said, there's a very good chance she's going to wind up in a ditch somewhere because of what she's done. So that's not a doing it for notoriety thing. That's not a I'm going to get famous for doing this, right? That you've got to understand when you fuck with these people. There's a saying: you don't fuck with the Russians. You don't fuck with people with this much money. The Clintons, the Russians, the Saudi Arabians, the Chinese. You just don't do it because of the risk. You're just going to disappear. So
Okay. By the way, let's stop a second. Let's stop a second. None of whatever Cam just said is endorsed by the Wine and Wisdom Group. We just want to let people know.
Listen, I know I'm a cynic, right? And I know that. And I put my hand up to be cynical to things, right? But
Yeah,
you
but
watch that movie,
it's
you watch that movie Social Dilemma, and every single person on there spruiking the negatives was employed, not currently is, or quit because of. No one said, I quit because they were doing this. I'm not saying what they're not doing is wrong. It is wrong. If that algorithm is actual fact, which I think it is, it's wrong. There's no question to that. But you know what? If these people had the values that they're spruiking, fucking quit earlier and start saying it earlier. None of those people are now missing, mate. None of those have gone magically died in car accidents.
have you put yourselves in their shoe, Chris?
Say that again.
Have you put yourselves in their shoes?
Well, earning millions and millions of dollars to shut up? And then when it becomes, at what level does it become all right now to say, I've got enough money to say something?
No, they were collecting evidence, yes. They were collecting evidence.
The evidence looks like dollar bills, mate.
No, that's because the
They're
Senate
being paid huge amounts of money, mate. As simple as that. They've been paid huge amounts of money. She's now not got a job. Now she wants to be paid huge amounts of money. I actually applaud the lady.
Have you ever, let me ask you this, have you ever been in a job longer than you wanted to be in before you finally made the decision to leave?
Yes.
So that's what I'm asking you, to put
I
yourself
think
in
it's
their
the same
shoes.
for anything, jobs, friendships, marriages.
By the same token, I don't turn around and whistleblow shit that I should. I know.
You fucking weren't working for Facebook. Hopefully you weren't working for a company that was killing young children. Listen, the stats are undeniable.
I ask you this, is it Facebook or society?
Sorry?
Is it Facebook or society?
What's that?
Because it's social media, right? Is it society or is it Facebook and Instagram creating the issue? Which one's creating the issue, the society or Facebook?
Oh, it's the chicken or the egg situation.
No. Chris, hold on. I need to butt in on that one. If society was doing it, there's no problem. But apparently, we have to be careful because this is Facebook platform. Facebook has got things that actually watches and calculate and see what is more in or for them or supporting their position, right? Therefore, they will generate that. And so I don't know. So it would be like the umpire now calling the foul on your team more than on their side because he's protecting the other side. That's what it is.
So now I ask you this: is it Facebook or is it the parents' problem not controlling the use of? I'm asking.
The stats are undeniable.
Do you let your kids watch R-rated movies?
Depending on whether it's podcast day or another day.
I'm sorry,
Thomas, you said you don't know, but we do know. The stats are undeniable. Since 2007 or 2011, sorry, when Facebook came about,
2008,
the rates of suicide in girls aged between 10 and 15 have increased exponentially. Like, it's not a small thing. It's more than double. And that, my friend, answers your question.
Wait, Ken. Megan's been dying to talk. There's obviously sexism happening on this one podcast because this lady's been putting her hand up and asking, can you just make sure you put your hand up, you idiot?
She just wanted a jar of salsa open that she couldn't quite get.
Mate,
I'll open my own salsa any day of the week. Thank you for asking.
You gotta hit it. You hit it, and then you twist it.
Or you get the knife.
No, you hit and twist.
What I was gonna say was Chris talked about, is it the parents? Is it kind of that balance, I guess, of rules around how children use it and what rules their parents give, and that's fine. Each household's going to have their own version of that, and you're never gonna. That's going to look different in this house compared to the next one, But I think the big picture is if there's a company out there that is specifically targeting that age group, and it's a different thing. If Chris, when you go on and start searching handbags, and you get stalked around your Facebook or your internet with handbags, that's marketing, right? But
I keep getting ED ads. Why do I keep getting ads?
They go and use the exact same thing, but in the worst possible way for young people. And yes, parents can have rules, but there's no way that the rules that the parents have can stop what that platform is doing. There's no possible way.
I agree with you, Megs, but I ask you one simple question. I ask you this. If our child was being bullied at school, whose fault is it?
No.
Depends who you ask. Depends who you ask. Because you ask the child's mum and they'll say it's the bully's fault. You ask the bully's mum, they'll say it's your child's fault. You ask the bully, they'll have a different story.
I say it's the school's fault.
Danola, here's the thing. Let's talk society versus social media. Society. Young girl has a thought in her head, I'm fat. Facebook picks up that this young girl's had a thought in her head that I'm fat. And instead of her just saying it to herself, now, every time she scrolls on Facebook, she's getting told in one way or another, you're fat, 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 you're fat. That's not a society problem, mate. All right. I have a thought in my head that I'm not good enough, but then all I do on the screen is get told I'm not good enough over and over and over and over and over again because the machine, as Thomas Hoang would put it, has picked up on the fact that I don't feel good enough. So I'm just going to manifest that and I'm going to turn that into something that was this and just a throwaway thought into this. I don't think any parent can control that.
Okay, I agree with almost all of what you said. That there should not be a company. There should not be a company. I agree with almost all of what you said. There should not be a company that's allowed to do that. 100%. There should be a law against that. There's not, and there may be soon. But I agree with everything you said. What I don't agree with is this. I have a 13-year-old daughter.
Right.
I have control of what social media she uses. I
Yeah,
have the
really?
control. I have the control of how I speak to my daughter. I have the control of how I make my daughter feel as a person.
Yeah, you do. But you're one voice. You're one voice. So
Now,
when
I am
you
not
go on the
subjugating
screen,
my responsibilities.
no, I'm not passing it off. I don't give a fuck, mate. I can tell my kid how much I love him and how good he is at what he does 1 million times a day. Facebook can tell him 2 million.
But
Now,
it's
when
your
you look at the
responsibility
screen,
not to allow him to have Facebook.
when you look at the screen,
That's the thing, mate.
do you know what your
daughter
daughter's
doesn't
doing?
have Facebook
Do you
or
know what
Instagram.
do you know what your daughter's doing when you're not around?
Of course I don't.
Do you?
Of course
No.
I don't.
Guess
But
what?
I have a rule.
Guess
Hang
what
on.
she's doing?
But I have a rule, mate. I have a rule. When she's in my house, I want to look at your phone, hand it over, I look at her phone. The minute she says no, the phone's gone.
Mate, I've got the same rules, but they're kids. I smoked
Dude,
cigarettes when I was 12
sorry.
years old. I didn't have cigarettes in the house.
Children's lives in our hands. It's our
I
responsibility.
had my first
Don't
drink when I was
subjugate our
14.
responsibilities, mate. I
Listen,
agree with you that social media is wrong in what they're doing.
what
No
I can
question.
tell you for sure is, Chris, when you hear 100 people telling you you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, it's not 100 people. It's just me yelling down the other end of the phone at you, okay? You're fat.
I know I'm fat, just like you, bro. But at the end of the day, we can't subjugate
fight.
our responsibilities as
But it's
parents.
not subjugating. No one has said they're not
unfortunate-
trying to. No one has said
the
they're not trying to protect their kids, mate. No one has said it.
The unfortunate thing is this: there's a lot of parents out there that don't have the values that us four do with our children to hold that.
Doesn't matter. I allow my son half an hour of YouTube a day. When he gets off YouTube, he's an imbecile. Right? That's just what happens.
You've got to stop watching
There's
your
no,
YouTube
and that's
videos.
that's kids YouTube, right? We're in a fucking lockdown where the only way he can interact with another child his age is to be on the internet and be on some fucking app that allows them to talk to each other. That is not subjugating my responsibilities as a parent.
But you
Right?
can.
You're being unrealistic, mate. You are being so fucking unrealistic.
I don't think I am.
You're sitting at home, mate. You can watch your daughter every minute of the day. Me and my wife work full time all day. We
Mate,
can't
up
watch
until
what
a
the
week
kids
ago,
doing.
so I was.
They go to school and they're given the apps at school. They're told to watch YouTube at school. You can't tell me that this
Mate, at
fucking
school,
problem
they're
of
not
kids
allowed-
killing
at
themselves
school-
is all
at
on the
school-
parents.
There's also software that you can get to stop them from getting onto certain getting onto certain sites and so forth. But we're agreeing on the fact
you're
that
way off,
the
bro.
algorithm that they're using within social media is wrong, mate.
You
There's
asked
no
whether it was society or the app, and I'm voting for technology.
I think it's a combination. We can't put it all straight onto social media. We have to
People
take
didn't forget how to parent in 2008 when Facebook came along. It wasn't the fucking 26th or whatever of December 2007 where every parent went, fuck it, I'm going to stop parenting now. No, what happened after that was Facebook came along. What happened straight after that is kids started killing themselves, mate.
But
People
you know
didn't
that
get
now.
out of fucking
No one knew
town.
what heroin did when it first come on the streets. No one knew what crack cocaine did when it first came on the street. But you don't want your kids to take it, and you're going to take them out of those situations when they get involved in that, mate. So it's the same thing with social media.
It's a
Take
combination,
them out of
though,
that
like,
situation.
combination, because when you're a kid, if your parent says to you, oh, you know, don't do this, don't do that, don't do drugs, don't go out late at night with boys, whatever it is, some kids in their mind go, F you, mum, F you, dad, I'm going to do it anyway. So sometimes, and it's a hot, oh, God, I don't have all the answers, and I don't think anyone
Start on
does.
Winnie Reds. That's all I can say. Start on
No,
the
but-
goal.
Stay away from them, they're bad for your lungs. But it's all you can do as a parent is have the rules in place that you think are best going to serve your family and your child, and hope that they're smart enough to make the right decisions in their life. Look, they're all going to go outside the box. They're all going to go and maybe try drugs, maybe go speeding, maybe go racing in cars with their friends, or jumping off bloody rocks into water that you shouldn't think they should. They're kids. They have to make mistakes for themselves. But what you're saying, Chris, is 100% right. You have to have boundaries for them and for your family based on your beliefs and your expectations. But there's this social media thing's a beast, and it will
You know what you don't have control
find its
of?
way to
Chris?
them.
You don't have control of the people that your daughter's hanging around and what they're watching on social media.
No, you're right, mate. You're right.
Right? So if
Absolutely.
fellas hanging around, 6 friends who have all got Facebook, and they're hearing all day, you're fat, you're ugly, you're fat, you're ugly, you're fat, you're ugly, guess what's going to happen, mate?
You know what I do have control about? I have control about the conversation that I have at the dinner table with my children. I have a
you do.
conversation
Not
about.
denying
I
that.
have the control about the conversation that I have with my daughter, telling her she's everything. I have the control with my son, saying to him, you know what people say here is their own fear. I have control of that, mate.
I don't have
my
arguing
voice
with that, mate.
is louder than their friends, if I have more influence with my kids than their friends.
Please don't think that that's going to solve everything, Chrissa.
No, it's not, mate.
Please
It's
don't
not. It's
think
a
that your talk at the
multifaceted-
dinner table is going to stop what the
No,
fucking
it's not,
Facebooks and the
It's a
Instagrams will
multifaceted
do.
attack, mate. It's a it's not something, it's a one conversation. This is a multifaceted thing, mate.
There's
it's
many
not
a
a
well-meaning parent who's had their kids fucking neck themselves, mate. Many.
And there's no question. And you know what, Cam? I agree with you, mate. And knock on wood, I hope I'm not one of those parents, mate, or anyone that we know is, right? But at the end of the day, it's on us to do as much as we can to speak into our children's lives. And yes, I don't agree with Facebook or Instagram and so forth in the way they have this algorithm targeted at children. Please, I'll be clear on that. But at the end of the day, we can't default that decision to them. It's on us, how we can control that when we can control it. If your son starts drinking at the age of 16, 17, I know you would have, I did. It wasn't to excess, but absolutely we had good times with our friends. Would you allow that freely, or would you speak to him and try and help him with that?
Yeah. No, well, mate, you brought up alcohol. It's a touchy subject for me because I started drinking when I was 12.
Well, there you go. I waited a little bit longer. But what I'm getting at, mate, is we don't want to make the mistake of our parents. All right? I know I don't. I know Thomas and I have had many conversations about this. But at the end of the day, we have to be responsible for our children. And, mate, and like you said, there are well-meaning parents that kids, unfortunately, have gone down the wrong road. Absolutely. It's very unfortunate because we can only do the best we can. And it's a constant struggle. It's a continual fight.
Thomas, your daughters have been, unfortunately, at a school where a number of kids have committed suicide, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you can no, well, control's a fucking shit word because you can't control, but you can influence your daughter's opinion of that.
Yeah.
But are we kidding ourselves to think that we as parents are stronger than Facebook and Instagram and the influence that they can have on our kids?
No, we don't. I think that the question that I was listening to you guys and I was asking myself, are we controlling the consequences or are we controlling the causes, you know? And are we equipping our kids so that they can fend for themselves in society when we're not around, or are we really cocooning them while they're around us? And I think that that's the question. I would rather equip my children for when they're not around me. I still remember the day, it was a few weeks before I left Belgium when I was 20. And Mom was sitting with me and she said, Thomas, you know, I need you to understand this. We've been struggling a lot since we've been in Belgium. And I've always tried to give you children everything we could give. So I need you to really understand this. You are not going to receive a cent ever from me in terms of inheritance. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? I'm thinking already, I'm leaving to Australia, so my head is already there. And she said, I have given you my inheritance all your life so far. And it's something between your two ears. Whatever is in here, that is your inheritance. And I think that has really followed me. The trying to stop children to go for something they're curious about, such as social media, which has a big pool, TikTok and all these things. I mean, and sometimes you see them doing all that, they move and dance, you know, and is for us something that we're going to lose anyway, because kids like this are attracted to, especially to things they can't. So I think that what's more important is to equip them with the ability to think and discern what's right, what's wrong, and no need to talk to me. And the other thing that I tell the kids, you know, just as much as I tell my staff about the day you catch me lying, I'll find myself. And I tell the kids, the day that I catch you lying to Dad, that's the day I stop believing in you or trusting you. Until then, you got full trust from Dad. So it's up to them now to choose. And I think in that way, we equip our children to sit down and make a decision. And sometimes, just as much as the four of us and anyone who's listening to us, sometimes we make decisions that we thought were right and it was stuffed up. And sometimes we make decisions that we were convinced that was the best decision in the world, only to realize afterwards that was the worst one in the world. So what do? Do we cocoon them, protect them? Do we give them and equip them so that they can make the path? I think that's more important. Listen, guys, we're getting to the end of our podcast. One of the things that I'm starting to get now a lot is people asking us about what we should be talking about rather than some of the things like the news, because we can't compete with the like of Mark Zuckerberg, who can have like so many fake news versus so many real news. And so I was just thinking maybe for next week, we should really get onto talking about something and see whether we could really do a week of research on that. And the topic for next week should be about the rise of women's power in the world of social media. I think it would be a very good subject for us to think. And also that will also give our audience the time to think about a little bit about this. What is it about social media right now that's giving a rise to women? And is it right? Is it wrong? Is it out of balance? Such as it's not all right to have a gym just for men only, but it's okay to have a gym for women only. Things like this, and maybe that will be our first subject for next week. I think that there's a lot of anticipation for Megan Green. So I don't know, guys. This is what's been
are all the string bikinis in my Instagram story furthering the women's movement or putting it back?
What are you searching? Get algorithm, mate. What are you searching?
I'm sure they're not doing it. I told you, I got ED ads in my timeline and string bikinis everywhere. So the two don't go together.
All right. So listen, guys. Thank you so much for this week. Let's put our head together. And next week's debate is going to be the rise of women power in the world of social media. Thanks very much. See you next week.
See you
Goodbye.
guys.
Fuck you, Chris.